Holiday season be filled with joy, laughter, and beautiful moments. From all of us in Morrison Communications Limited, Wish 99.5 FM and Atlantic Television. Eyes of food and medicine. Niger's coup leaders asked for a provisional halt to the sanctions pending a final judgment on the issue. Delivering the ruling Thursday, Justice Dupe Atoki called Niger's junta the result of an unconstitutional change of government. Key military told us the inhabitants are moving en masse. M23 is a large and powerful rebel group that operates near Congo's border with Rwanda, a mineral-rich region where armed groups have long waged campaigns of violence and been accused of mass killings. The group allegedly has support from neighboring Rwanda, though the country denies ties. Mushaki is a pivotal transport hub that paves the way to larger cities in East Congo's Kivu region. It has traded hands between rebels and the army throughout the conflict and as recently as February. The latest round of fighting comes as the 100 million person nation prepares for an election later this month, and President Felix Tshisekedi asks voters for another term. The election won't be held in areas wrecked by violence and displacement, one of many issues observers questioning the country's ability to hold fair and free elections have raised before resurfacing in 2021. It has since often clashed with government forces and the United Nations peacekeepers, who are slated to gradually withdraw from Congo at the government's request. In photos and video published Thursday, dozens of Palestinian men are seen sitting or kneeling in the streets of northern Gaza town, stripped down to their underwear and hands bound behind their backs as they are guarded by Israeli troops. The images were first showing such detentions in the Israeli-Hamas war. Now in its third month, the Israeli military had no immediate comment. Israeli media said some of the images appeared to show suspected Hamas militants who had surrendered to Israeli forces. However, correspondents said one of the men seen in the photos is its Gaza correspondent Dia Al-Khalut, and that he was rounded up with other civilians. In a statement on its website, the news outlet said he was among dozens of men arrested in the northern town of Beit Lahia, along with his brothers, relatives, and others. The report said the detained men were forced to strip and were searched before being taken to an unknown destination. The images published Thursday were taken from the vantage point of Israeli troops. Two Israeli strikes that killed a Reuters videographer and wounded 6 other journalists in South Lebanon nearly 2 months ago were apparently deliberate and be investigated as a war crime. Their findings were released simultaneously with similar investigations by Reuters and Agence France Presse. Israeli officials have said that they don't deliberately targeted the group of journalists near the village of Alma al-Shabaab on October 13th. The strikes killed Issam Abdallah and wounded Reuters journalists Thea Al-Sudani and Meher Nazer, Qatar's Al Jazeera television cameraman Eli Brakia, and reporter Carmen Judaka, and AF daily exchange of fire after the October 7 attack by Hamas on southern Israel that triggered the latest Israel-Hamas war. Amnesty International said it had verified more than 100 videos and photographs, analyzed weapons fragments from the site, and interviewed 9 witnesses. It found that the group was visibly identifiable as journalists and that the Israeli military knew or should have known that they were civilians, yet. As we stand here, almost a week into the department, officials said Blinken spoke earlier Thursday with Israel's Minister of Strategic Affairs, Ron Dermott, to say the U.S. is pleased with new deliveries of fuel to Gaza, but still wants to see those and other assistance deliveries increased. At the same time, Blinken told Dermott that civilian casualties remain too high and that Israel must step up its efforts to reduce them, according to the official who spoke to reporters on condition of anonymity to discuss the private diplomatic discussion. Israeli police on Thursday blocked a planned parade by several dozen Jewish ultranationalists through the Muslim quarter of Jerusalem's Old City. The group had planned to enter the Muslims' quarter and make their way across the Old City to the Western Wall, which is the